In this video, we're going to look at a place that's old. Real old. Right up there with Plymouth Rock and the Pilgrims. Yet, unlike Plymouth Rock and the Pilgrims, this settlement doesn't get much love. I'm talking about Albany, a city with nearly 400 years of history. People tend to overlook it now as just a boring state capital, but it actually has an interesting story that's worth sharing. And I'm going to do my best to tell it. If you go back far enough, Albany used to be a lake. An enormous prehistoric lake caused by the melting of a glacier from the last ice age. Eventually, it emptied as rivers such as the Hudson carved new paths through the landscape. There's remnants today of its ancient lake bed. For example, if you look at flat areas along Route 9. Anyway, eventually, humans came to know the land well. Native tribes called the area home for millennia. As things unfolded, it was the Mohawk and Mohican peoples that inhabited the region, speaking Iroquoian and Algonquin languages, respectively. The Mohicans, yes, the same ones referenced in The Last of the Mohicans, named the area Pempotawatut Makanu, meaning the fireplace of the Mohican nation. Eventually, Europeans started showing up, possibly as early as 1540, when French fur traders may have set up a temporary trading post here. Later, Henry Hudson was looking for a northwest passage, and he explored a river that now bears his name, and he did so for the Dutch East India Company. This act paved the way for Dutch claims in the region. Fur traders led by Hendrik Christensen built Fort Nassau, but after it was flooded and abandoned, the Dutch built Fort Orange in 1624, this time on higher ground. It was the first permanent Dutch settlement in New Netherland, and it was even earlier than New Amsterdam down in Manhattan. The Dutch were hanging out, and initial relations between them and natives were cooperative, but European diseases caused widespread loss. In 1642, the Dutch opened a ferry to the east side of the Hudson, and this would later become the city of Rensselaer. And 10 years after that, the settlement that was developing around Fort Orange was officially incorporated as the village of Beverwijk, meaning Beaver District in Dutch. In 1664, control of Beverwijk shifted from Dutch to English rule, and it was renamed Albany, after the Duke of Albany, aka the future King of England, James II. Under English rule, Albany remained a small trading town that was steadily growing. The ginormous Albany County was soon created, and in 1686, Albany was legally made into a city under the Dungan Charter, which still functions today, and this makes Albany the oldest continuously chartered city in the United States. Decades later, it again became the site of a historic gathering. In 1754, colonial delegates gathered at a congress in Albany, including Benjamin Franklin, who proposed a plan for union against French forces. This Albany plan was an early step towards American independence. But before any real union formed, the colonies were swept into the 7 Years' War, during which Albany served as a strategic hub. That same role made it vital again during the War for Independence a couple decades later. During that war, the British knew that Albany was important. So early on, they launched a three-pronged campaign targeting the city, but the plan ultimately failed at the battles of Saratoga. In the aftermath of war, the city was quickly becoming a bustling center with about 4,000 inhabitants. It had the Albany Gazette newspaper, and the state's legislature was meeting here, reinforcing its role as a political hub in the new nation. A fire in 1793 burned down a large part of the city, and a year later, city leaders like Surveyor Simeon DeWitt laid out a new street grid to accommodate future growth. In 1797, Albany was officially designated the permanent capital of New York State, making it the second oldest state capital in the country. In 1807, Robert Fulton initiated the first successful steamboat line from New York City to Albany, and soon construction of the Erie Canal would begin over in Rome. Around this time, Nathaniel Paul was the first pastor of Albany's African Baptist Church, beginning an abolitionist community here. When the Erie Canal was finally completed in 1825, it would transform not only Albany, but America itself. From Albany to Buffalo, goods could now flow between the interior of the continent and the rest of the world. Soon, Joseph Henry built one of the earliest practical electric motors here, and a new form of transportation was about to enter the scene. In 1831, one of the country's earliest steam railroads, the Mohawk and Hudson, connected Albany and Schenectady, and this would further expand the city. Albany's population was growing rapidly, reaching over 33,000 by 1840, and this was largely due to Irish and German immigration. Its economy thrived on lumber, brewing, publishing, and ironworks. In 1853, Erastus Corning consolidated 10 railroads into the New York Central Railroad, and this was headquartered in Albany. And following the Civil War, Albany reshaped its downtown with iconic government buildings like City Hall and the state capitol. Washington Park would open in 1871, and electric lighting would arrive a decade later. During this time, the New York State Normal School was shaping future educators, and it would evolve into the State Teachers College and ultimately SUNY Albany. By 1900, the city had Victorian downtown streets, busy rail yards, and a vibrant port. Many prominent national politicians had made a name for themselves by this point in Albany, including Martin Van Buren, William McKinley, and Theodore Roosevelt. The early 20th century saw the rise of a powerful democratic political machine, and in 1928, one of the first commercial airports in the U.S. was opened here. Later, during World War II, the airport was utilized for training and transport operations. Also during World War II, Mayor Erastus Corning II began his tenure, eventually becoming one of the country's longest-serving mayors ever. He oversaw things like I-787's path along the Hudson River and I-90 access roads. With these new connections, Albany's population began to decline alongside other contributing factors. In the 60s and 70s, Governor Nelson Rockefeller led a massive urban renewal transformation, and so you'd have the Empire State Plaza and SUNY Albany's Uptown campus reshaping the city's skyline. In the 80s, Albany's Pine Bush Forest became the focus of major conservation and restoration efforts. And in the 90s, Albany launched initiatives to revive its downtown. Then, at the dawn of the 21st century, Albany's economy pivoted to technology and education, with the Albany Nanotech Complex growing into a leading center for semiconductor research, and this was part of New York's quote-unquote Tech Valley. Then, long story short, COVID hit, and today, Albany continues to be a place of importance. It's the core of New York's capital region, and its deep roots are evident when you look at events like the annual Tulip Festival, and it goes well beyond this. It might not be flashy or famous like other cities, but Albany's deep history and lasting impact show us a place that has quietly influenced our American nation. Have a good one.